Museum of Design. Oh, I almost said it. Hey everybody, I'm here at the Museum of Design in Atlanta hula hooping to celebrate the opening of XYZ, an exhibit focusing on women in video game design. Because you know what? Women play video games and they make them. And this is me hula hooping.
This year actually is my 30th anniversary of being in the game industry. I got into it by accident. What really interested me about games was the social interaction.
My background's in interactive art. In interactive art, there's always this challenge of getting the interaction to work and getting people to actually engage with an interactive work. Games are just a really effective form to do that. They've figured out essentially kind of the magic structure that you need to have to get people to kind of have a sustained engagement with something that's interactive. You could actually try to tell a story, or you could, try to create an experience.
Video game industry has created this very narrow definition of gamer and a very narrow definition of game.
As long as you kind of picture games as being this monolithic thing, then it's easy to say, oh, that's not something I really enjoy. One of my favorite sort of threads is these games that are devoted towards encouraging people to socialize, even though they're socializing using a computer game, to socialize just in person with each other. And that goes back to a game like Mule, where you're playing this kind of resource management game. But I remember my dad and my uncle playing that game when I was a kid, and it's entirely about the social interaction. It's entirely about yelling at people who are have just done something to completely mess up your strategy.
Part of game design is what the players are doing, right? So you can't see that until you start playing. You have to experience a game. You can't just sort of look at a game.
I'm going to play some Ninja Shadow Warrior, in which I have to match up my shadow with a random object that's going to pop up on the screen.
Ninja Shadow Warrior is a photo booth arcade game that I made inspired by sort of the social space that surrounded arcade games like in the 80s. It's a game that's supposed to encourage multiplayer play.
I'm here with the creators of a video game called Kiss Controller.
You can play video game while you are kissing with your partner. There are some games like a Wii or a Kinect. You can use your body. I tried to find some kind of using your emotion or affection to play video game. One person wears a magnet on his tongue and the other person wears a headset. I can actually map inside their mouth where the tongue is. One is a bowling game and the other one is a racing car game.
Okay.
The bowling game, when you move your tongue fast, and that's the bowling ball's speed.
Okay.
And where your tongue is a bowling ball's direction.
This game right behind me is called Flatlands, and essentially it's like apples to apples, but instead of just matching up cards, you have an adjective and a noun. You have to pick the board game that best represents the adjective-noun combo. So for example, if the adjective-noun combo was something like sexist gender roles, and I picked up this board game where obviously it shows all the things that a woman can be, which are a secretary, flight attendant, a nurse, a princess, or ballerina. I think that this one would probably win.
It was a game that addressed the subject of female masturbation through the concept of a bunny. So there's this bunny in the game, and you have to kind of stroke the bunny in certain ways in order to send the bunny on this wonderful, fantastic voyage. It's a game that has a lot of depth. It explores the Little Red Riding Hood myth through a number of different characters that each have their own version of the story.
47% of game players are women, about 12% of the game industry is female. We really feel like this show provides role models for girls. A lot of them will quit game companies because they just don't like being a locker room all day. Companies need to take a little more measures to decrease sexual harassment and trash talking and other sorts of behavior that deters women.
The specific kind of work that women have done to diversify what games are and to kind of broaden what they approach and the types of experiences they create are essential to getting people, really engaged in playing games.
audience.
A lot of the games that end up getting a lot of the media attention, they're the kind of larger AAA titles, they are tailored towards a young male audience in terms of themes and in terms of kind of the kind of accessibility of them. That's kind of why it's valuable to get women particularly involved in, first of all, talking about the games that they like to play, and they also get involved in making them. Part of what we want to do with a show like this is to start to celebrate the women who do get involved in the types of games and works that they actually make. I think that is a powerful incentive. Anything that you would be interested in, I think that the show hopefully can give you somebody to connect with, where you can say, you know, I really like stories, so and these are the particular games that speak to me, and maybe encourage me to either seek out more games like this or to create a game like that myself.
Why would you want to exclude half your market? The vast majority of people who do microtransactions and games like that are female. So even though the gender mix of the players might be equal, the actual monetary benefit is coming from women. It doesn't make any sense to say, oh, 52% of the population, we don't care about them, we're not going to take their money. It makes business sense, as well as it's just the better, more ethical way to do it.
I know that people are going to walk into the show and see a great number of works that they would not have thought of when they think of the game. We've pulled together this kind of possibility space where women are celebrated as kind of major creative contributors to games. And what people take away from that is whatever kind of connections and things that they see. That we've kind of provided this ground for people to come in and kind of build their own conclusions and make their own interpretations.